Hi there, Alec from Vacuum Spot. Today I'm going to show you how to treat a really common problem with Dyson DC04 vacuums. Basically, if you have the issue where if you wiggle this cord or as you're leaning it over, the machine cuts out, or worse, makes a crackling electrical sound, you've got a bad connection in here, and I'm going to help you fix that today. Okay, so first, get rid of all the junk that you don't need. You won't need your bin, and you won't need the rod and hose attachment. So I'll just move that out of the way. I'm going to put that aside. This one's really stiff, so I'm just going to give it a little help with the screwdriver. What I'm doing is just levering this up until that actually comes out. Okay. Alright, so now the part that is a little bit tricky, what we've got to do is remove this switch here, or the switch cover, and what you've got to do is just use a really tiny little screwdriver, but anything flat will work, and you've got to get in down the side here and lever that up. Okay, now you're going to need to undo this little screw here, which is a Torx number 15. Okay, now this whole section then lifts up. Okay, now what we're going to do, here's our problem. As you can see, we've actually had a cord literally severed there, and so what we're going to do is just pop off this switch from inside its little housing. There's just two little clamps that hold it in, so what we're going to do is just gently lift that up. This one knows that I'm taping this, so it's being a little pain. Alright, so that now comes up. Okay, and we can actually release that cord there. Alright, so what I'm going to do now, I tend to leave those on and grab some cutters and take about a foot off that length. Now I just have a look here. It's pretty easy as a guide because you've got about 1.5 inches there, so I just measure it up about the same. Now very gently run around that with a Stanley knife. You just want to get rid of this plastic sheath. Okay, if you mark the coloured wire inside at all, shorten it up again and have another go. You don't want any break in this. Now what we're going to use is a wire stripper. Just take, I guess 10mm, half an inch, something like that, off there, and twist this up so it's nice and neat. Okay, so what we need is a couple of these little fellas here, little connectors. Now if you happen to have access to the shielded ones, that would be ideal, since they're going to be sitting side by side, just in case there's a chance they could knock each other. Pop that on, then crimp it nice and tight. Give it a test to make sure it's not going to come off, and repeat again. Alrighty, so now we've left this on so that we don't have to worry about rethreading. What we're going to do is just remove these off, so we're going to match up the brown one on top to coincide with the other brown one. Okay, alrighty, so now brown on, blue on. Okay, now we're just going to put a little bend in that, and that's going to sit around there, and this acts as a little clamp, so you can just see it's come around there like that, and then this is going to sit back in place. Okay, so that's all nicely sitting in there. Slide this up until your little cord protector can just sit in. Now all we have to do is tuck this down, and what we want to do is just make sure there's no cords or wires sticking out here, and that should fit down nice and snug like so. Grab our screw again. It's just that little bit more tricky doing it backwards for the camera, but there we go. Okay, now some of these had a little spring in the end, some didn't. If your switch is getting a little bit tired and your button isn't popping up, you can just pop a spring in there, make sure it's a similar size, and you can go right in. Now all we've got to do is position the spring over the switch, and as we press down, we've got to make sure this little locator is down that side closest to the machine. Give that a test so that it pops up nice and easy. Now that we've got that all nicely covered, we'll just test the machine. That's perfect. So now all we have to do is put our hose and bin back on, and we've got a completed job. Put that in. There we go. Another great tip from Alec at Vacuum Spot.